morning. So I'll just share some early impressions of volunteerism. I grew up in a family in Delhi, and my mother used to tell me the stories of her growing up years. They used to live in Paharganj, and it was a freedom movement that was going on that time. So she would tell, we were kids, and often she'll tell that how the ladies in that neighborhood area and the young girls who could knit would knit sweaters, gloves, and woolen caps for the freedom fighters who were passing through the New Delhi railway station. They will just go there with all these items they would have made and give to them. It was quite intriguing and curious as a little child in me. After that, I joined school and I studied in a corporation school, NDMC Navyuk school in Delhi. It was very special because the Delhi government and corporation tried a new concept to give education of a private school ambience to the students who were meritorious. And it was a combination of an ashram ambience plus the focus on academics and opportunities like a private school student would get. We were very fortunate to have Mr. Dar, our principal, who had taught in Netrahat and he was also taught in Doon school, who was heading our school. He was a principal. So we used to have long assemblies in the morning where the topics, news of national, international were discussed. TVs were still coming in, but that used to be our first insight into the world outside the school, outside our city. So one fine day he shared that there were some major floods somewhere in the country. I don't recall where, maybe around Delhi or in UP or something. And in our school was a day boarding, so we used to get breakfast, lunch, and evening snack before we left for home. So that day he mentioned that there are floods and what we can do. It was really nice. When I reflect back that in early days, mid-70s, somebody is talking to students that there is a flood and what can we do. So we all decided that we will make lunch packets. The next day lunch will go from school, and instead of we eating the school food, we will bring our snacks from home. So it was quite nice that next day we were all making the food packets. Puris and one aloo sabzi, I guess, that was the dry packet. These were given to somebody, and I don't know whom, but it was to be airdropped through helicopters. I felt at that time some sense of contribution I did, even if I was in class 7 or class 8. And at the same time, we had our home science teacher, Miss Veena Hora, and she was connected with Red Cross Society. Maybe she was volunteering or something. So one day she told us in our home science class that when you are free time after lunch, come to the lab. And we went, curious kids, we went to the class, something new is happening there. And we saw lots of cartons of clothes. So she said, we'll open each carton and we'll take out the clothes. She taught us how to read the label, that it is for what age group this cloth is. We will neatly fold them and make stacks age-wise and gender-wise. And then she told me that, this will help when there is some need to be in flood or some situation. These clothes will be easy to distribute. And I felt once again, I am connecting with something. And Red Cross Society stuck in my head even till now, that when something happens, my look up to is Red Cross Society. After that, I went to college, and in the college there was NCC and NSS. That was the next volunteerism I experienced. And in NSS, I chose to be, between NCC and NSS, I chose NSS as that was more comfortable for me to take my time. And I was given duty at Safdarjung Hospital, where we would go once a week. We used to go there and we would attend to the patients who didn't have families around there to support them. And really sick, ill patients who could not even move from the bed. It was quite disheartening, but at the same time I felt the sense of gratitude at that time, that I'm so fortunate, surrounded by my friends and caring family and loving family. I'm not alone there. So these were the feelings I grew up with. But soon after, I shifted my career and my interest into information technology. I learned computers and I joined a startup, Nucleus. At Nucleus, I got a big opportunity to work with the Digital India 1.0. With the Citibank, we designed, as a software arm from Nucleus, we designed the ATM software and the credit card system. And somewhere I do feel pride to be part of that moment too. My journey, further journey in volunteerism has been with Nucleus, Polaris, Intellect, School of Design Thinking, all these organizations with whom I am connected. I am part of it or a remote for it, but my journey is continuous with them as we grew in Ullas Trust also. So you will randomly find reference to these names in my conversation. And Mr. Arun Jain, who founded all these organizations, and Ullas Trust, of course, is his passionate vision that in his growing up years, he was a part of a Ullas Club, and he wanted to replicate that same ambience to every youth, every teenager in the country, and we all are aligned to that mission. So that is a little background. So what is volunteerism? We all are volunteers here. Would someone like to say what is volunteerism? We know it still. We want to help others who need our help, or we want to do something without expecting anything in return, because we care for everyone, and it feels good. So, and I want to share some, they are very typical kind of volunteerism we all know. I want to share some things which I came across with my experience in Mission Samriddhi. That is, in this we are working with the rural areas, holistic development in rural. So in this particular picture you see, army from Jammu and Kashmir, they volunteered to bring in the panchayat representative from Jammu and Kashmir for exposure visits. And School of Design Thinking and Mission Samriddhi, we designed a leadership program for them, and the panchayat representative of Eravi Parur Panchayat, that's a very role model panchayat, volunteered to share their learning and experiences to share with the Jammu and Kashmir sarpanches. The next slide is Banwasi Seva Ashram. They also came to Eravi Parur for an exposure visit, and you see the sarpanch, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, talking to the peer sarpanches on the rightmost side, and we'll see some transformations that happened after. This is a scene of Shramdan in Betul district, where the youth volunteers came together to clean up this road. It is an incline, and there are some fields which are at the back of this, and nobody could approach those fields, and the people were thinking of migrating out from the district, from the village. After this road was made, even though it is looking kacha, a bullock cart could go there and reachability happened. One migration was stopped. Here is Mr. Siddharth Tripathi. He is IFS in Jharkhand, and he spends every weekend with the villagers around, bringing in transformation. This is our office in Intellect Design Arena, and here the leadership team is meeting the Jammu and Kashmir sarpanches once again and listening to their visions. This really touched my heart. We talk about so many kinds of volunteerism. This is village Khuti, Jharkhand, and the entire village community was making efforts to be alcohol free. But there was a question that in tribal, the deity is offered the mahua liquor that is made there, and when the mahua liquor is offered to the god, then it is to be taken by everyone as prasad. So how does one change this tradition? And this priest volunteered to change this belief system. He said, okay, you just make that much liquor that will be offered to the god, and as a prasad, we will distribute the fruits and the sweets. This was a big change I saw. I mean, it really touches me whenever I think of it. Yeah, this one is another, I mean, I feel hair-raising feeling in my hands whenever I think of this group of ladies. This is Arakeram village, again near Ranchi, and they worked towards alcohol-free village. Now these ladies, they were sharing their experience. They said, we used to make liquor at home, we would sell it, and then and our husband will consume and the family member will consume, and then they will be scolding us. So we will make it and we'll get the pitai from them. And one day these ladies decided to volunteer to give away with this at all. Not only give away with this at all, they actually brought all the utensils into the courtyard of the village, called the tatera that they call, and they sold them off. And this lady at the end told me, na rahega baans, na bajegi bansuri. It was really amazing. Yeah. So here we see, I mean, I was talking that Banwasi Seva Ashram people had come there. And here we see in our dialogue, it's a screenshot of sharing that village shared with us. That this village decided that there was a lot of priest issues which were happening, and during the wedding season in the village, there will be one priest and there will be many weddings. So this 15 families decided they will do the weddings without the priest. Instead, a senior community person or senior person in the family will do the wedding rituals. This is again, I think, a very big shift in the belief system that all these people volunteered for the benefit of their communities and themselves. This is another beautiful thing which we observed last year as we were gearing up for Tamil Nadu state elections. We got this news from our Tamil Nadu clusters where Mission Samriddhi is working and Intellect CSR is working. So 4 organizations, the Intellect CSR, Mission Samriddhi, Talent Quest for India, and Young Tinker Academy. So a big role of Talent Quest for India, they have been volunteering and they have been taking our Ullas programs to districts also. So they were invited to take Ullas into the Tamil Nadu clusters as part of this program. And by then we had connected with Young Tinker Academy who specialize in tinkering space. So they created a lesson plan or a plan that how a model village should look like, how an ideal village should be like. So they engaged the students into creating a picture of model village, and this Tinker Talent Quest for India also added the elections and how elections happen, what is Gram Panchayat into that day's curriculum. And you see the picture, there are 153 votes which happen in the real voting style, how it happens in the state elections or the country elections. This is the power of volunteers. As volunteers, we all know that how many initiatives we can take forward. I think that remains connect for me, that as volunteers, we can really build up on the organizations with whom we are working and collaborate. So I'm sharing now my experiences of designing volunteerism in Ullas. And it's a contribution of volunteers, mentors, leaders, guides, whoever has been working with us. And I'm just an Ullas staff, of course, it's a small team of few people. They have all played a key role in bringing Ullas to the shape that it is today, that we have kind of a product or a pack that anybody can take and render in the schools for the benefit of students. So what is design? Design is a process of working to develop solutions in a conscious and innovative way in which both functional and aesthetic requirements are included based on user needs. I just read it as a definition, but I think we all know what design is. So designing made simple from, I'm focusing on the volunteer perspective, that we identify the stakeholders, the role holders who are working towards this initiative and taking this initiative forward. Observe the patterns, the projects that we are working on in Ullas, of course, the Ullas classes. Observe what is going well there, and then we observe the anti-pattern, what are the challenges we are feeling, and we connect the dots. And when we connect the dots and we are observing, we also find many blind spots which are not visible or probably we don't give attention to. From School of Design Thinking, we learned these 3 laws of design to bear in mind. Less is more, last 2% is 200%, and prioritization. So less is more helps us remain focused. Last 2% is 200%. Often when we are designing the programs, we reach up to a stage, say 98% or 99%, and then we kind of become tired of reaching there and we just stop our efforts. So this last 2% is 200% is at that minute holding space for designing, getting into details. Prioritization, 10 gram, 100 gram and 1000 gram. We often rate our experiences or things on a scale of 1 to 10 typically. And what we receive back is typically we want to remain in our comfort zone of 5 to 7. It is very difficult for us to say 10 for something to rate, or 1 because we don't want to be the bad people in the society or in the project teams. So this 10, 100 and 1000 gram helps us think exponentially and deeply why I am calling it 10 gram, why I am keeping it in the 100, and why I am prioritizing it to the 1000 gram, because it really has that impact and ability to scale. So design for scale, expanding the reach of Ullas program. So there was design of program, design of curriculum, design of execution, design of delivery. These were the details we got into one specific area in Ullas. So Ullas Trust guiding principles, yeah. So Ullas Trust was started in 1997 by Mr. Manju Jain and his team members in Polaris then. In one of the Lakshya exercises where they would set vision for the next year performance of the company, they decided they want to do something to connect, contribute back or do something for the society and connect. So Mr. Jain, as I mentioned, that he was very inspired by his own teenage experience of an Ullas club that he was part of, he was a member of. He gave the name to this initiative Ullas Trust, and they all decided that they'll be working with the adolescent students studying in government and corporation schools. Another important thing at that time was that an employee will contribute 40% of the scholarship amount, and the company will add on 60% of that scholarship amount to for a scholarship. And another thing was that they didn't want to issue a check. They said, we will not be issuing a check to any organization. Rather, they will be doing it themselves. We have to touch and feel and connect with the students, volunteer our time and skills with them. So Ullas 1.0, as we started, Polaris employees were the volunteers of the program. Mr. Jain, once in the annual workshop, will share his personal journey with the students. Students would meet and interact with successful role models at Music Academy, and students had their first exposure to the corporate office, because all these training programs would happen in the corporate office. What was it? The program was a merit scholarship for classes 9 to 12 for students from government and corporation schools, recognition of Ullas achievers at a large public platform, and basic computer skills were taught to the students like Word or PowerPoint, or I don't remember if Excel existed, it must have existed at that time. The computers were very new in 1997 and they were not yet in the reach of any school students at all. So there was a big delight for the students that when they went back after the classes, they knew something more than others. Oh, I went to this office, I was taught, I worked on the computer. There was a big lift in the self-image of the students. So I was still remotely connected with Ullas. They would invite me on the annual functions, but I wasn't really part of these weekend classes and all. My direct connect with Ullas volunteers happened some 2 or 3 years later. When we were hearing in the office sometimes, oh, some students and their parents are coming and complaining that there is favoritism in school in nominating the students, or the volunteers are, no, there are less number of volunteers engaging. So it's okay with my experience of working in the application software and all. I said, okay, we'll get together, and one of our friends, colleague's wife was also very interested, and we all joined together and created a selection of meritorious students through a public exam. Now here the role of volunteers expanded a lot. None of us knew how the public exam will be held, who will make the question paper, how the applications will come, who will process it, how the results will be announced. And the entire bandwidth of volunteers from Polaris then came forward and supported in whichever capacity they could. The computer trainings after this exam and the selection and the annual workshops, computer training by volunteers went on like earlier. And we introduced some personality development classes also along with. Few students were awarded for higher education as well, and the reach was about 1,000 students. These are some pictures from the yesteryears, how the annual workshop happens. We also had an opportunity to have Dr. Kalam visit and bless us all on the 11th Ullas annual day. Yeah. But with all this good story, there were challenges still. And what were the challenges? Many challenges actually. The attendance of students in the class was depleting. Many a times schools will not respond to the calls or forget to inform students. Employees wanted to support, but with their day-to-day jobs, they would get kind of busy and forget. It's sheer forgetfulness that was happening. And then we started learning, oh, along with this program, we have to have a communication design also. We need to have a financial design also. We need to think of venues, because the Polaris office was in the center of the city, but our students were coming from the remote Chennai. It would take them an hour and a half, and sometimes just because of that an hour and a half of travel, the parents will not send their students, their children. We need to be visible among the employees also. Right till now, it was happening like the friends and friends and friends, but there was no formal structure of communicating amongst Polaris itself as it was expanding, that there is a Ullas volunteer moment, and we need volunteers to teach in classes. As I spoke about that, we'll understand the stakeholders. So here I'm just taking 2 stakeholders for the want of time and going a bit into detail how we address these. So we sat and discussed what are the volunteers doing. Volunteers, the typical answer will come. I'm not a teacher, how I want to, but I'm not a teacher, how will I come and teach in a Ullas class? Then, if I volunteer once, I'll be called on every Sunday. No, I can't give every Sunday. I can't do personality development class. I'm not a trained trainer to do that. I don't know Tamil. There were many people who were in the organization who were from the other states, Hindi speaking or Marathi or Gujarati or many other languages. They felt uncomfortable that in the class all the students are coming from government and corporation schools, and if they interact with Tamil, how will I do it? There were project pressures, of course, and weekend chores for every IT professional, for any working person. There is definitely weekend chores and family time they look up to. But volunteers had a lot of strengths also. They were empathetic. Our IT volunteers, one thing they know well is the PowerPoint. PowerPoint presentations they can make. And they were comfortable if we give them a structure. Then we thought of the other important stakeholders as I spoke, that the students were not coming to the classes. So what is the challenge of engaging with teenagers, what they don't like? I think we all have been through this teenage, and maybe some of us are having children who are in the teenage. We'll know this comes from their heart. Oh, another class on the weekend. I'm already having so many classes. 9 to 12th is a very strenuous time for the students. Monologue from the teacher, that is how our school system works. Theory type subjects, they don't like. Lots of homework. Will Ullas give me another homework? Too much of preaching advice they don't like. They don't like, you should do it, I should do it, what you should do it. Then we went ahead to understand what teenagers are liking. We spoke to many students, students in our own families and friends. Teenager likes classes in summer camps. They are very keen and very excited to go for the summer classes. Teenagers like games in birthday parties. We all enjoyed one kind of game early in the session today. Teenagers like to listen to interesting stories. They feel confident in a supportive group, and hands-on activities are more fun. And please don't preach us. We are already listening to that from our school and our parents a lot. And that gave the birth to these 20 contemporary life skill programs that we designed. In class 9, we start with a can-do spirit, visualization, imagine what you can do or what you would like to be when you grow older. Planning, time management is not a subject that is taught in our schools at all. That we learned in our corporate experience, that how we all struggled in the project time managements, and we felt that this would be a good start to begin in class 10. The students are already getting into the board time and they really need to learn to manage time. So in the school, they were taught timetables, period 1, period 2, period 3, and in planning, they learn how they can manage time and still have fun while writing their boards or preparing for their boards. Influencing is Summit 3, and Persuasive Articulation Summit 4, class 12, that now they'll be going out of the school and they need to communicate what they want to. So there are 20 interventions for 4 years. Our students graduate from 9th to 10th to 11th to 12th. So there is a building up happening from 9th to 10th, 11th and 12th. All these sessions go along with them. What our students were gaining, and these programs were designed to: a confident communication in class, teamwork and collaboration, and time management. Then we got into the design of execution, as we were learning that our volunteers didn't know how the class will happen. So we got into the detail of design of execution. We were inspired definitely by the birthday party games and the summer camps. We saw how the event managers organize summer camps. So we applied all that learning into this. 2.5 hours of attention span plus engagement. We knew the students cannot focus on one topic more than 20 minutes. So we broke away that same concept into multiple activities to keep them engaged. Interactive style, game, story, audio-visual, movie sequence, and a team activity and a presentation. Every class they make a group presentation at the end. Learn from peers and by observation. We were not telling them, do this, do that. The class structure and presentations were happening in a way that one group was presenting, the other group was seeing what is going well and where their group should improvise. Slowly by fourth or fifth group presentation, they were all ready without even saying that this is how you should come on stage and speak. In fact, all our Ullas students, you give them a mic and they are confident. Until then, they'll be waiting, looking for a mic. There was a simple code of conduct that is basic mutual respect for each other, very simple one. So now we were designing the delivery of this, train the trainers, because we wanted to expand from Chennai to our Polaris offices in Delhi, Mumbai and Hyderabad. So how will it happen there? Now the class plan was very modulated and designed. So we would have a train the trainer session 1 hour every Thursday for Sunday class that will be happening on the weekend there. Lesson plan was a PowerPoint deck, as I mentioned to you earlier. More than one volunteer for each class, and we made sure that if we are in Maharashtra, there should be one person at least who speaks Marathi. Rest of the volunteers could be any. For Chennai, at least one volunteer should be Tamil speaking. But the beauty of these classes was that where we were feeling, and I myself experienced, that when I was in a class with my colleague who's Tamil speaking, students will want to speak only in Tamil with her. But as soon as I will come in front, they wanted me to understand what they are telling. So they will make effort to speak in broken language or or a mixed Tanglish. They were talking, they wanted to express to me, they wanted to talk to me. So we found this is a very interesting thing which we didn't design per se, but it happened, it evolved, how this connection started happening. And our students' reach was about 5,000 students till then. Now we were designing for scale. Igniting dreams of 100,000 students. I think suddenly our chairman, Mr. Arun Jain, dropped this ball onto us. Oh, just 5,000, you have to go reach 1 lakh students, go ignite their dreams. And we were like very shivery, fear of unknown. Didn't know where to start from. And after the initial shock, we also thought in Chennai, it is Mr. Arun who does this interaction with the students in the annual workshop. He personally interacts with them. How will we recreate this magic? And how will we reach to 1 lakh? So we got, okay, we have to go to the districts then. In the city, we can only reach up to X number of schools or something. So connecting the dots, it was a beautiful moment one day that when the Polaris people, when we met for lunch and we were sharing stories with each other, lunchtime catch-up, we learned that some of our friends in Polaris went for a team outing for a day. And they were sharing the excitement of the day spent together and the team building that happens. Now this is, I think every corporate has a process of team building and team outings or fun together events. That day we got an idea. Can we use this team outing today as a purpose to take Ullas program to schools? And thus the TTS Touch the Soil program was born. It was a replicable design of annual can-do workshop in the districts. So Touch the Soil program was a team outing with a purpose. Choose a school in your native or district where you have studied. Go with your team members or family friends or family. You can even take your kids with you. Go and conduct a Diary of Dream workshop for the 9th grade students in the district. Now we were expanding further. We wanted to, Mission Samriddhi had started in 2016. So we started connecting with more partners. Vidya Arambam, we started, it is an organization in Tamil Nadu who are really doing wonderful work in the districts, in the rural, where whosoever is the eldest girl in the village will teach class 1 to 8 students as an after-school program. So we train these akkas, they call, with the Ullas Summit programs also, and they started teaching the summit to the 9th grade onwards in the schools. Then we had SRM College, IIT Palakkad, IIT Tirupati, NSS Wings in Colleges, Talent Quest for India, Mission Samriddhi, Young Tinker Academy. Talent Quest for India brought back a lot of inputs for us, which were very energizing and exciting. These are these points which I got from their founder, Ram Anna, they fondly call him. A shy and introverted college student volunteer for TQI undergoes a personal transformation in self-image and self-belief. This happens when they connect with the students, and there is a brotherhood and sisterhood that happens. Since 2013, TQI has partnered with Ullas, engaging over 2,000 college volunteers. They has beaten us on the count of corporate volunteerism. Thank you for volunteerism for impact and scale vision for 2030. My wish would be, let us challenge our own limiting beliefs, build on each other's strengths, and scale new heights of development. Thank you.